Hello everyone, welcome back to Crafts by the Bow. Today I'm making another card using the Rooted in Nature stamp sets, the ones with the matching dies that I've been using just lately. And I was looking in the annual catalogue, just let me find the front, I'll open it up. I was looking at the whole Nature's Poem Suite, and the catalogue always shows you all of the pieces that's in a stamp set, and they're all actual size, which I find is really nice because then there's no worry when you've ordered it and you think, oh, that's teeny weeny, it's too small for what I need. So I do like that they do that. And while I was looking, I saw this card. Now I'll fold it back in half again. I saw this card, and if there's a card in the catalogue that the Stampin' Up team have made, it's usually on YouTube. So I watched it on YouTube and thought, why haven't I seen that before? Why haven't I cased it before? Because there are 4 lovely cards here, and I just didn't turn the page over and look at those. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to case this card, show you how to make it. I've changed a couple of things, but mainly it's going to be this card. And I think we always forget to tell our customers and everything that these cards are available on YouTube for them to watch, for them to see how to make. And even if they don't make it in the same way, it's nice for a template, or it's nice for an idea that you start to make and then you think, oh, I could add that, or I don't have that stamp set, maybe I could use this stamp set. And so I'm going to try really hard to do more casing of the catalogue. So today is my first day, and this is the one I'm going to do. And this is what I came up with. So you can see it's just about the same. I've changed the sentiment. I haven't put a little trinket on. I've changed the backing paper, and they had, I'm not sure if you can even see, they had some little splotches on here. And I don't have many stamp sets that have this finer little splotch. So I chose a different stamp set, and I think it's meant to be snowflakes and things, but I thought that looked really pretty too. So let me show you how we start to make it. I'll just pop this to one side. Okay. So the catalogue, they used Sahara sand or soft suede, I'm not sure which. I'm using crumb cake, and it's an ordinary half a piece of card. It's 5.5 by 8.5, scored at 4 1/4. And we will fold it, but at the moment I don't want to fold it because I want to stamp on this side first. So I've got a piece of scrap paper, and I'm just going to line it up with the fold. And that's so that I can stamp, and I can stamp over the card, if you know what I mean, and it doesn't matter, it won't show up. And I'm not sure if a lot of our demonstrators know either, or maybe our customers don't know, that if you stamp in Versamark, it comes out whatever colour your cardstock is. So if you have a cardstock but you don't have the matching ink, it doesn't matter. You stamp in Versamark and it looks like you had the matching ink. So I'm going to get my Versamark, and I've taken out this little stamp. And that's what they'd used on the card I'm casing for the background. So I'm doing the same. I've popped it on my clear block, and all I'm going to do is stamp, hold it for a second with Versamark, and then let go. And you see, as it dries, the image appears and it looks like you've stamped it with ink. This is what my other piece was for, because I don't want all of my stamps to be the same. I want it to look as though someone's gone off the page. And I'm only making a border round the edge. There's no need to stamp in the middle because that's going to be where the rest of our card is. And I'm just turning around the stamp so that it doesn't look the same all the way. I think sometimes we forget to use Versamark for anything other than embossing. It's great for embossing because it's quite a sticky ink and it catches the embossing powder really well and it doesn't dry too quickly. So that means if you get all of your stamping done and then you put your embossing powder on, it hasn't dried up before you get a chance to heat the embossing powder. Okay, I'm just going to put a couple of other little bits just so that you can see some more at the bottom. You see how as it's drying, it's getting darker, and that's the effect we need. Okay, so that's as much of that as I need. And then I did that first so that it had time to dry before I need it again. So I'm just going to pop that on one side. And I'm just going to clean my stamp. Now, you know what a problem I have with these chamois being sort of really dark coloured from the inks and everything, and how, you know, my OCD doesn't really like it. Well, yesterday I had the bright idea of putting it in some diluted bleach. And I can't say it worked very well, but my chamois turned white and it did get rid of a lot of the ink, but not any of the pinks, look. The pink doesn't want to disappear at all. I wouldn't suggest you put it in bleach, to be honest. Usually I just put it in the washing machine and I think that's the best thing for it. Okay, so let's get on with the next piece. So the next thing we're going to do is this front cover with the trees on. So I've got my card cut. Let me just measure it for you because I can't remember what I cut it at. It's 3 1/4 by 4 1/2. And I think that's what size it looks like in the catalogue. I didn't have any measurements for it, so I'm pretty sure that's what the size is. And I'm going to bring in my scrap because I need to stamp off with some of the colours. And I'm going to start with mint macaron. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to ink it up and stamp off for the first row. Let me make sure my card's straight. And I'm just going to do a random pattern. Doesn't matter if some are higher, some are lower. There. I think that's all I'm going to do. I'm just going to do those 4. Next, I'm going to do a row of trees at full strength with the mint macaron. And you can see how it starts to look as though some trees are further in the background. Okay, so that's all of my mint macaron ones done. You only do 2 rows, one where you've stamped off and one full strength. Okay, I've finished with that ink and now I'm using the same single tree but with Tranquil Tide. In the stamp set there is a double tree and I bet you could do the same with that. I just haven't tried it, but I bet it would be just the same. You just do the lighter colour first and stamp it, and you'd only have to stamp twice instead of 4 times. Okay, so here's my tree again with my Tranquil Tide. And the same as before, I'm going to do a row where I've stamped off first. I'm just going to pop that over there because I'm actually just going to stamp off the page a little bit as well. There, okay. And then I'm going to do a row at full strength. And I'm not going to stamp right down to the bottom. So, oh, isn't that pretty colour when it's full strength? And I think again, I'm just going to do sort of a half tree here. Clean this stamp off. And what you need to do next is to get a little scrap piece of white card and stamp 2 or 3 more trees. I stamped 3 for mine, and then I used the dies, whoops, I used the dies that are in here, the single die, to cut it out with. So here are my pieces that I did. There's 1, 2. And where's my other one? Here it is. 3. Okay. Oh, I need all 3. Silly. Okay. On 2 of them, I've just put a dimensional on the back. I think once you've got this card ready to go and it's all set up, it's quite a fast card to make. Take the dimensional off the second one. And I'm just going to layer it so that it still looks like it's at the front, but it's behind my middle tree, if you see what I mean. I've just overlapped one against the other. And then to make the little dots on the YouTube, they said they'd used splatter, and I don't know if it was a splatter pattern that they had, or if they splashed it like when you do it with a toothbrush and you put ink on a toothbrush and just sort of pull back on the bristles of the toothbrush and it splatters. But I've chosen this one from a Christmas set because it was a nice big stamp and I thought I wouldn't have to stamp it many times. So I'm just going to pop that back under and see how big a stamp it is. And I'm going to stamp that in crumb cake, which is the same colour as the card at the back. But you could stamp it in any colour you want. It would be nice if you wanted to stamp it and then emboss it so that it shone. That would look quite pretty. Okay. But I quite like this with the little stars and things. That's all I'm doing with that. Just 2 little presses and it's done. Clean that off. And we've finished with this ink as well. Okay, so that's our front cover. What you need next is a piece of DSP, and I've used DSP from the whole suite, the Nature's Poem suite, and this is the one that is cased in the catalogue. It's this side, and that's the side I'm going to use for you. And when you put it on here, can you see it's not on straight? This DSP is just turned slightly and the front cover is kept straight, like this. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to glue it, and so that it helps me to know where it's straight, because sometimes your eye can be tricked by this piece that's not straight. I'm going to get the front cover. Look how that Versamark has made it seem as though we've stamped with ink. Okay, so I'm not going to glue this on yet. I'm just going to place it on here at an angle so that I know my piece fits. Okay. Now this is more of an angle than I used here, as you can see. It doesn't matter what your angle is. And then this piece is going to glue down straight. And yeah, I like it like that, so I'm going to glue this one down. I think this piece of the paper is one of my favourites. I've used this a lot, and I don't think I've got much of this one left. And the stripe's the same. I've used it a lot, and I've loved it. Okay, so I put the backing on, and now this piece, I'm not going to line up with that backing layer. I'm going to try and line it up against my grid lines just to make sure that I've got it in a straight line. There. Does that look straight? See, I know the white piece is straight, but because of this, my eye automatically makes it go up and to an angle. But I know it's straight. Okay. What I've done next is my banner piece, and I'm doing it exactly the same as this one. I've used this sentiment from the painted glass because I wanted it to say birthday. And although I love the sentiments in here, there isn't one that says birthday. So I've chosen a different one, and I've chosen this, Have a Beautiful Birthday. And I thought that script, or that font, looked quite masculine and quite nice and strong. So that's the one I chose. And then I stamped it on mint macaron, And then I used this smallest of the rectangle framelets to cut it out with. You don't need to do it with that. I liked the look of the sewn edge, but if you didn't want to use that, you can just cut it on your trimmer or cut it with your scissors. And so here it is. And it's going to go here. I'm going to put it just about there. And then I've cut a little piece of Tranquil Tide, just because it's the same colours as the trees. And I've penanted one end, just with my scissors. I've cut down the middle, and then corner up to the middle, corner up to the middle. And that's going to go underneath. And I know this is too long. I just didn't know how long I wanted it to be, because when I cut this, I hadn't already cut this. Okay, so you could do that. If you didn't want to use this, you could use a ribbon. Let me see. The flax ribbon would look quite nice, and it's the right kind of colour. Let's just pop that on there. And if you didn't want, you know, a penanted end, you could just use this. Well, that looks nice, doesn't it? I'm actually going to use the ribbon. Let me cut this. I don't want it penanted, but I do just want it at an angle. And I'm going to roughly measure how long I need it. Let's see. I think that's a bit too long. Oh, let's see what it's like in the middle. I think I like it over the edge a little bit, but I'm going to straighten up this end. I don't want it on a jaunty angle. Okay, so I'm going to attach it there, and you can attach it with fast fuse or snail, but I find one of the best things to attach this with is the tear and tape. Can be a little bit difficult taking the sticky off. Oh, she says, and it came off the first time. Wouldn't you just know it? Okay. I'm going to try and put it on so that it's straight. Move that up a little bit. And then this, I'm going to pop on a dimensional as well. Let's see, where are my big dimensionals? Oh, here they are. I'm going to put a few on the back. I'm just going to put 3 on. Just try and make sure that this is straight. Got a little whisker on that ribbon. Let me just cut that off. There. Okay. And then on the inside, I've cut another piece of the white card, just exactly the same size. I'm just going to attach it. Let's pop it on with this. I'm going to pop it in the middle. And then remember I said I was going to cut 3 of the little trees. Here's the 3rd one, and I'm just going to glue it down. I'm not going to put this one on dimensionals. I'm just going to glue it down and pop it in there. You could, if you wanted, use the stamp again and make a little row of trees. I just like that, just that one. Okay, so let me move these pieces out of the way, and then you can see. So here are my 2 cards that I cased from the catalogue. Let's put this like this so that you can see. So they're not exactly the same, but I think I've used a similar measurement to them. The white card might have been a smidge wider, I'm not quite sure, but there we are. So 2 very different cards that I've made, but still using this template from the catalogue. So I hope you liked that, and I hope you'll join me again soon. If you would like to subscribe, press the little button in the corner for subscribing, and if you press the little bell afterwards, it will tell you every time that I upload a video. Thanks so much, everybody. I'll see you all again soon. Bye-bye.